And coming back from Helena the other day, we stopped in front of Brewers in order to let one of the cross-country runners off. And as I had the blinker on and was turning, and before I'd even started to turn off, there was a car that came up and just went screaming by me on the right-hand side in the turn lane. And I know that years ago when that turn lane went in, there was discussion about it being, making it safer for people that were there. But I understand that turn lane, and the way Cassie was talking, that turn lane is being used as a passing lane quite regular, and makes it fairly dangerous there at the crosswalk. And I don't think, with all the comments that we've had and everything that's here, we certainly don't need to convince the commissioners, we certainly don't need to convince the highway department that that's a dangerous area. It's more of a factor now of putting together this data and submitting it to the Highway Commission, as I understand it. And I think a lot of the comments that we've had have been directed toward trying to convince our highway department people here that this is a dangerous thing and we need to do something with it. And what we need to do is put this together and put working on these guys and submit our stuff to the Highway Commission and work on them.
Well said, Bob. Thank you very much. John, did you have a comment before Linda?
Yes, I do not live in Winston. I live on Indian Creek, some 5 miles from the courthouse. I have to go 15 miles to Winston to vote at the poll, and every citizen that lives in Winston and that area must go over to this poll. And at times it's so congested with inadequate parking that you fear for your life to go exercise your right of voting. Also, the post office is there. People have to go there. Your analysis, the state's analysis that this is a one-sided community is completely erroneous. The people in that community has to go across the street to vote. They have to go across to the post office and whatever else service. And they have to get out there. And to think about it being any difference in right downtown Townsend with the lights that you stop everything and you start over, then you will get some action. Otherwise, all you're doing is making an excuse to kill some people, and it will kill people.
Linda.
My name is Linda Huth, and I don't live in Winston either, but I've gone through there a lot. And I wonder if, although 50-some comments from the Winston people is wonderful, what if you had comments from people who commute, other people who think that's dangerous, just besides the Winston residents? I mean, I've thought it was dangerous for years. So maybe if you could solicit comments from other folks also, I don't know how much influence these comments have, but sometimes numbers really mean something.
I think that's an excellent point. Thank you, Linda. Perhaps, Nicole, what we can do is get the first package out after these minutes next week, like you were saying, and then get an article in the paper, utilize the community website, and see if we can get some comments from public who do travel.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
I do too, yeah. A good opportunity for the community to band together. That's something very positive. All right, any other questions? I think Bob said it well. I think Elaine has a comment. Go ahead.
No, not a comment, question. Does the commission always meet in Helena, or do they go to the different districts?
Occasionally they go to different areas, but lately
Most of the
they've
time
been
it's been in Helena,
yeah.
but they do go occasionally to other areas. I'm not sure how they decide when they do that or why they choose an area over, I don't know how they do
Yeah,
that.
occasionally they've met in Butte, Great Falls, Helena, Billings.
They had just met down like in West
Bozeman.
Yellowstone
Yeah.
in September, but again, most of their meetings are in Helena.
Thank you.
All right, so we will go ahead and do our homework. We'll keep you guys informed as to when the meeting is in January. We'll have a meeting before that so we can strategize and make sure that we get as much substance and data and evidence in front of the commission as we can. So if anybody has anything else with that, let us know, otherwise we'll go ahead and schedule another meeting, probably the big bowl.
Okay, and as soon as we get Nicole's stuff in, we'll get it into the commission, get it on, and we'll let you know what agenda it's on and when it's gonna be.
I do want to clarify, we do need a letter as far as where the county commissioners are sitting on this subject too. Not just from the public, but we need to know what your stance is, and that needs to go to the commission.
you're
So I
sending
wanted to
comments,
clarify
yeah.
that.
Well,
But
I'll get
it's-
that
it's
drafted
also-
this week
we
and
need
bring it
that from
before the
you
board
guys.
next week.
Perfect.
Yeah, all right, very
Okay.
good.
And
Thank
we'll
you
be
both
looking
for
for your
coming.
stuff, Nicole, so.
Yep, definitely, I'll get it to you mid next week.
All right, thank you all for coming on this issue, and we appreciate you guys coming as well, the information. We'll go ahead and do our part and hopefully get this taken care of,
Absolutely.
yes.
And I'll get that citation narrowed down to you. I'll say if you want to hold off on getting that, if you want to take that into
I think I'm
account
gonna
before
get you
you.
the first packet first, but if you could send that to us, then we'll follow up with the second.
I was just thinking as far as.
Nicole,
where
if
the
you're gonna
county's
send me one
stand.
packet and then another
I don't know
one,
if that
maybe
would
a
happen.
couple days later, let me know that
That's
more's
what
coming, would you please?
Okay.
All right, sure will.
Because I don't wanna send it in and say this is the final product and then miss something, so. So if you have a second packet, then let me know.
Okay, we'll have a
So
second
we
pack
make sure
for
we get
you.
it all in.
Okay, all right.
And we do appreciate meeting with you folks. This is a good exercise in democracy, if nothing else. It's good to have you here.
Yes. Yes,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you later.
You.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, we are now at Nicole Brown Planning, Curtis Van Dyke and Boundary Relocation at Lot 15, West Side Trails discussion. You guys can come on up if you like. Where do you want? Where do you guys want to be? Do you want to come and sit at the table with us? Okay, if we need you, we'll just call you up. How's that?
Hi there.
Hi.
I'll go again.
So, these folks here, and I apologize, I don't recall your last name.
Darwin.
Darwin, thank you. The Darwins are here. They purchased lot 15 of West Side Trails, and I've got two maps here. This one shows the overall plan of West Side Trails. This one shows the currently adopted Phase 1 West Side Trails. So this is all of West Side Trails. We're looking at Phase 1 specifically. Lot 15 is here, on the corner of this open space area. I don't know if you can see this all in here is open space. Basically, their well was put not on their lot, but on the open space area.
Just so you know, we did read your letter this morning into the mail,
Perfect.
so we have.
So you'll have a little background.
Yes.
Perfect, okay. So I won't need to be redundant. Basically, the reason why we wanted to come here today was to see if the commission had any questions or concerns before they hired a surveyor to go and do a boundary location. And I guess I just wanted to be here to assure you that I don't see that this would have a negative effect or any implications on the county. If they did a boundary location, and I don't know if they're buying, selling, I'm not sure how this is going to work with them and the developer regarding that open space, but basically they're going to be taking some open space and putting it onto their property, so their well's on their property. So they're going to move this north boundary of their lot 15 here a smidge north. There will still be access to the open space here, as well as here and here. So all of this is access to open space in here, in here, in here. This will still have access, just not as much. According to Montana Code Annotated, any development with lots between 1 and 3 acres must either give land of 5% of the overall acreage for park space, open space, or pay the fair market value of that 5%. So they're going to be well within that. Currently, the acreage in lots is 58.72 acres in Phase 1, because that's all we're looking at. The acreage in open space currently is 19.26 acres. The developer was only required to provide 2.936 acres, so just under 3 acres. So them taking not even a full acre of property is not going to implicate the county in any way, that we're going to be, removing any open space less than what is required by Montana Code annotated. So this meeting was basically just to preempt them coming back in a few weeks with a survey showing this boundary location, and if the commission had questions at this time.
It's, your letter was very clear. It's, in my opinion, very cut and dry, very simple solution you guys have worked out with the people you were working with. We were gonna ask you and Julie for your input on this, so, I'm glad that you're here. Any questions from the board for anybody?
straightforward to me.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's fine. You're gonna kind of, and I assume they already are working with the developer who owns
They
this
are.
open space here, because
Yep, that's
he's
correct.
got the final say, really.
And that was
I mean,
in the
if he's
letter.
ready- Yeah, gonna let it go.
Yep, and I don't know, that it will be a private transaction between them and the developer, the county doesn't get involved, whether he's giving it, selling it,
No, yeah, as long as it's all brought out ahead of time, so,
definitely, and the developer will need to sign off on the plat as the owner. So anytime there's a boundary location, any owners of the property do need to sign that certificate of survey that'll be recorded. So the developer in this case will be signing the plat as well as the Darwins, so that everyone is fully aware, and those signatures are notarized.
Do you want anything from us other than the fact that it's on the record, that we've reviewed this, that we support it, we have no questions, no concerns? Do you want any kind of a vote, or is that?
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
I don't see where it's necessary to have that. You'll be voting on the COS when it comes to the certificate of survey. When it comes to you, you'll be voting on the exemption, the use of the exemption. But other than that, I don't see where this is necessary. I just wanted to have this conversation before they paid a surveyor and did the work.
Makes good sense. I support it, this is easy.
Okay. And the only reason we're bringing it to you, and I apologize, the only reason we're bringing it to you ahead of time is because of the open space issue. If it had been between two lot owners, you wouldn't even see it until the COS came, but the fact that it's open space makes it definitely something that you should be included in.
Sure. And it doesn't affect anything as far as the open space goes, because they're so far over
Correct.
the requirement, so, yeah. And there's still access, there's just no alarm bells on this one.
Right. Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
We have
Any
one
further-
question from.
Yes.
Do we need to come back to another meeting? Is,
Your surveyor will need to. So you don't necessarily need to, but once you hire a surveyor, your surveyor will bring that certificate of survey to the commission to get their vote on the use of the exemption.
And that's a practice we do with all of these things, is we have the surveyors come in and then we just vote to support them. So, but yeah, you guys don't have to come.
But you're more than welcome.
But you're more than welcome.
Super.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
I did not put together the West Side Trails with this letter, and of course, it's right here and very regarding, so
I have one.
I just read that during the mail.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Is there some way that we as what's going on here, that we can have a letter or something saying that this is being done, or from the commission, or how do we follow through on this?
And actually, if you want to meet in my office, I can give you a step-by-step process of what will happen next.
Okay.
I think it would be best a discussion held outside of the commission meeting.
That sounds great. We've never, this is something that's, there's other ways of doing this, but we chose to do it this way.
We don't want to go through it again either.
No, I don't think you did. And if you guys want some kind of documentation that the commission has no problems with it, this
That's
will
what
be
we want.
in the
Your blessing.
meetings next week, we'll approve that, and you'll have that in black and white. So, the minutes are legal documents, so that will be evidence you guys can put in your back pocket.
Thank you.
You know what, we can do a very casual motion, you bet. All right.
No, sorry.
All right, it's been moved and seconded by the commission to support the process of, that has been proposed by Mr. and Mrs. Darwin regarding lot 15 of West Side Trail subdivision. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. You will have that in minutes as well. You bet. Nicole, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything today. It's kind of been the Nicole day, but good work. This this is Nicole's. Nicole, I'm gonna make another copy of this.
You know, I have a copy.
Perfect.
If you want to keep that one for your file, I'll make a copy, and then I will get the packet to Lee. Once these minutes are approved, I'll send them to him, and then we can just tell him that there will be a follow-up. And I apologize, but did you say there would be another Winston Town Hall meeting where we'd be collecting comments one more time prior to the
I don't
transportation
think
committee meeting?
collecting comments as much as strategizing.
Okay,
What I think we need to, if we have a finite amount of time, then I'm going to make sure that Danielle puts us in contact with Lori on the commission. That if we have a certain amount of time, 15, 30 minutes, whatever they determine, that we make sure that we fill that amount of time with facts, data, evidence, substantial information, so that, and we know who's speaking for the county, who's speaking for the folks at Winston, that kind of thing. So that we make sure that we use that amount of time as smartly as we can.
all right, super. So I'm not going to wait for any comment. As soon as I get the commission minutes that are approved next Monday, I will mail that certified mail to Mr. Alt, and then we'll know when we're on the Transportation Commission agenda.
Yes.
Time and place.
And if you and I could meet, I made some notes on other documents and
Okay.
information we need to get. And if we could just make sure that he knows that there's a second packet coming, we can compile that and then send it in on that.
Perfect. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Can I
you.
have one clarification?
Yes.
We left out one business there, and that's Cox Ranch Supply.
Yes, thank you. Yes. You're absolutely right.
Cox Ranch Supply.
And implements and
Yeah.
farm machinery don't travel fast, do they? when
Right.
riding on the street? Yes. Thank you
You
for
bet.
that. We'll also
Thank
have
you.
arguments written for the commission, so that we have every opportunity to give them every reason to say yes.
On
Yeah.
that, I think I would also put some election.
Absolutely, I have that down, yes. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Lois Christensen, and because I don't attend these meetings and don't know how they work, I have a question thinking that at some point early on there was going to be a treasurer's report, and apparently that doesn't happen. So how do we, and I know you're going to be adjourning soon, if I have a comment in regard to budget, when does that opportunity avail itself?
Probably in about 1 minute, how's that?
Okay?
All right, it looks like we are done with mail. We're done with our appointments. We don't have a COS. See Bernadette? Bernadette?
I don't have a COS.
All right.
Thank
You're welcome. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, any public comment?
Thank you
You're
very much.
welcome.
Again, Lois Christensen. I'm a senior, and by the time we're on a very limited budget, we never had pensions, we never had 401k. There's a lot of us in this community who are in my same situation. By the time I pay Social Security, get Social Security and pay out my health insurances, I only have a little over $300 a month. So my concern is the budget with the county and how county funds are used. And I've been reading all the things of the commissioner reports in the paper. I am concerned that some of the building things that are being approved without vote, I have no idea how much PILT money is left, how much is left in reserve, which I believe reserve money is very important. We have always had reserve money as a husband and wife, and feel as though we've got to keep at least 20% somewhere. I believe we need to do that with PILT. Also, I don't know, I wish that we could vote on some of these projects, because I believe just from reading the paper that the building processes are going to cost a lot more than what I'm thinking that it says they're going to cost. Will we as taxpayers be responsible for the amount in excess? Because it just seems like so much money is being spent on some of these things that that concern me, and as a taxpayer, I don't want to get roped into a whole bunch more. A lot of seniors here. One other thing, unrelated. Marr County has internet all the way up to the top of Grassy Mountain. The whole county has internet. We have called and called. I have CenturyLink asking them to update the line going out to Highway 284 that goes all the way north. And CenturyLink will not update. I was told it had been updated by somebody from CenturyLink. The guys tell me, no, it hasn't. My dial-up says, no, it hasn't. Did the county get a grant up there at Grassy, Mar County? Or is there any way our county can somehow the other, even on the 287, some of those people don't have access to internet. Is there any way that can be addressed to see how CenturyLink or some of these people can update? We live in that new subdivision on 284, and they didn't even have to put in any of the lines to facilitate getting internet, like most of the people have to have cable or something in. New subdivision doesn't even have that. How come? How do we know those things? It seems like it's something that maybe the planning commission or somebody, I don't know who. I'm more concerned about the budget than I am my internet. But dial-up is a piece of, it's terrible. And because I can't pay $49 a month for internet, isn't there any way that the county can become a little bit more involved with? Anyway, thank you for your time, and the budget is a great concern of mine. And how do we know as people what's in PILT, how the budget process? Is there any way we can know that?
You bet. I can give you a whole slew of answers.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. One unfortunate thing is we are in a campaign season. And anytime there's a campaign, there's a lot of things flying around on the TV, in the newspapers, that are frankly untrue. And unfortunately, you've seen a lot of those. So I'm just gonna go down the list and give you everything. This is all verifiable. I'm happy to come to your home with the budget at any time and go through it page by page with you if you want. I've done that with other citizens. So the building fund, that is totally separate. We have had no less than 8 public meetings on that. It's part of the county, city planning, CIP, which is Capital Improvement Plan. That is to comply with laws right now. The numbers that are being flown out there of $500,000 are entirely false. That is part of scare tactics. That's all it is. We have some preliminary numbers of about 170 per building. That's 340,000, and we've targeted some further savings to actually reduce that. The money to pay for those buildings will come from the departments who need them. Search and rescue, weed, and mosquito. And what that is we cannot store trucks with chemical outside because it's a safety hazard. We have to have those stored inside. That's one of the reasons for the building. We have equipment that the weed department rents out to people. It's actually being dilapidated because it's stored outside. That needs to be inside. We have chemical that is stored right now and heated with a space heater, which is extremely expensive, extremely hazardous, and we have a warning at this point that we have to do something about it from Department of Ag. So these are the things that we're addressing. We also have chemical sprayers who have to have shower facilities, and these are all determined by OSHA. So this is just following the requirements put to the county, but we cannot, by law, nor do we want to, go to the citizens and say, we want more tax money for you for this. There's money already in those departments' budgets, and we cannot go to people and say, we want to tax you higher. Departments will come to us and say, we need to go to the citizens for a mill levy for public safety. They put together a campaign, the voters decide, yes, I want to pay more, no, I don't. They're fully informed as to what the money would go for, and they make the decision. We're not going to do that. Those departments have the money for these buildings. So as far as that money, it's already in the budget of weed, of mosquito, of search and rescue. It's going to have absolutely no bearing on any other department. So PILT, right now we're sitting on a surplus, reserves, of about $914,000. So what we need in order to keep the county functioning for a year, if we were to lose PILT, we need about $350,000. We try and always carry that through. We carried through substantially more than that last year. That's how we have about $914,000 this year. So we always do that with PILT. It was started long before this commission. It was started decades ago by a previous commission to be very sparing with PILT because we don't know from year to year if we're going to get it. There's a lot of indicators that we will. Congressional acts, it is a congressional act. There's 2 of them that determine that counties with federal land will be paid property taxes essentially from the federal government. So we do try and save that. We spend it on unforeseen things or capital expenditures, not ongoing expenses from year to year. You can see the obvious reason for that. Senior services. Senior services, Elaine sits on the Rocky Mountain Development Corporation board, and I sit on the Agency for Aging board. Through both those agencies, and Agency on Aging is a sister board to Rocky. So we work very closely together. What we do for senior services is there is a separate fund for that, both for senior meals and for senior transportation. Rocky came to the commission last year and said, you know, we would like a little bit extra money. We used PILT and we gave about $3,400 more to senior services. We also had a grant, I mentioned it at the beginning of the meeting, we had a grant refunded because it wasn't used. The term is escaping me now, or reverted funds. Anytime a grant isn't used, it's called reverted funds, and those go back to be divvied out between the rest of the counties. About $71,000 will be divvied out between Lewis and Clark, Gallatin, Park, Jefferson County, Marr County, and Broadwater, and that'll be for senior services. They're also having a forum tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the senior center. If you guys want to make that, they'll be setting kind of their vision and budgeting for that, and that's actually a Rocky meeting. So senior services, very important to us. And we put a lot of time into working on those boards to make sure that we have what we need for those services. The internet, that goes to the infrastructure along with the buildings. There's a certain infrastructure that this county needs. High-speed internet is one of them. There's not a lot of counties with as poor internet as we have in Broadwater County. It's affecting our school, it's affecting our hospital, it's affecting our businesses, and it's affecting our business retention and attraction. It is something that we're working on. We have an economic development arm, and we work very closely with them for that type of infrastructure. It's probably going to take a couple of years, but it is foremost on the minds of a lot of people who are looking out for the economic well-being of Broadwater County. It's not going to get fixed tomorrow, but it is something we're working on. Anything else, Lois, that?
Can I add something?
Yeah, please.
Your taxes cannot be increased without a vote of the public.
I didn't think so, but I
That's
was
state
wondering.
law. I mean,
Okay,
I
thank
read
you,
that the
Elaine.
other day and I thought, no way, somebody's mistaken. That's state law that says the vote of the people to raise your taxes.
That's right, that's good.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you for clarifying that.
okay.
Yes, sir.
I just got I'm the other half of her.
Figured you two were together.
In regards to this chemical, now, isn't your chemical stored in a container?
Yes, but it's not an adequate container.
Okay, what is not adequate for it? Room, or is it the storage, or?
All of the above. Room, there's not enough room. One, they could actually, both those departments, weed and mosquito, could buy more chemical and get a bigger bulk price, a better bulk price per unit if they could buy more. They don't have the room for that. They're storing a four-wheeler in there, which is a total violation of the safety concerns or the safety parameters for that. It doesn't have, it doesn't have a redundant floor. It just has a wooden floor. It should be on a concrete pad so that if there was spillage, it doesn't sink into the ground. If that were to happen, the county would be responsible financially for cleaning the water supply for Townsend. That would be a tax on taxpayers that you guys don't get to vote on. It would be a district court decision that says you guys will fix this because you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
This is just a
So-
question, can they put, like, say for instance, like over at Laurel, they have the big fuel tanks. They build a deal around that so that if there is a leak or something, it's contained to that certain area.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna be looking at.
Most farmers and ranchers are having that anymore now too, you know.
Do they?
Yep.
Okay.
Just takes
Yeah.
some kind of containment area.
Yeah, and then getting back to the equipment with the big building, is it necessary to have heat in the floor? Because for the simple fact, I was born and raised on the farm, and I was there for many years, and we had to make the best of it with, you know, what we had at that time. And getting back to like the equipment and stuff, the person that's running this equipment, like say for instance, I heard the mosquito machine was broke down, the sprayer was broke down because it got froze up or whatever. When I was on the farm, we were responsible, our dad, boy, he'd whoop on us if we didn't. When we got done with a piece of equipment, if it was in the fall of the year, we had to make sure that that piece of equipment was drained. It'd be no different than a tractor that didn't have antifreeze on it. You had to take care of that, and that should be the responsibility of the person running that piece of equipment.
You're 100% right. As far as your first question on the chemical, I forget what it was. We do build we
Putting
can
a
build,
retaining thing around it
Yes.
so that it can't leak out into,
yes, we'll be doing that. But what we need to do is look at the whole picture. Is it more cost effective to just lift it, build a container, a concrete container, or is it better to put it into some kind of a facility so that we can get that buying power and purchase the units less expensively?
with
So
those
that's one of the things we're looking at.
excuse
What's
me,
that?
would those chemicals go into this other big building?
It would actually be off to the side, so it wouldn't be inside, it would be off to the
You
side.
know, the hazards of explosions or something like that.
Right, yeah, that would be actually off to the side with proper heating. A space heater ain't proper on that at all. The in-floor heating, that was the one I was missing.
That's pretty costly.
Well, there's a couple of different options that we're looking at. The fact that that is out there is kind of just a piece of it. We're looking at dividing the vehicle or the equipment storage into 3 different sections, so that areas that need to be heated, kept at 55 and above, ambulances, the chemicals, the search and rescue, they all need that. Those areas would be heated that way, when not necessarily in-floor, but would be heated to the 50 degrees. The others, a bay for working on vehicles, could be heated as needed, and another bay could be just, you know, not heated but covered. As far as some of the different kinds of heat we've used in the past, some of the overhead heat, the propane heaters, they're actually causing problems with the fire district right now, in that it's having an effect on fuel. And I am no mechanic, so I'm gonna butcher this, but it's having some issue with fuel evaporation from the trucks.
Vapors.
Yes, thank you. So I don't understand that, but it's one of the reasons they don't want to look at a propane overhead heater. 2, heat rises, so a heater up here is not as efficient as one down here. One of the other options though that they're looking at is a wood boiler outside. We have somebody who works on staff anyway. We would have to have somebody who could, you know, stoke that, but it only needs to be stoked apparently once a day. So there's an option of looking at that as well. So we'll be looking at all of those, but nothing's in stone.
Okay, now, are you talking about one of those heaters like that McCarty sell, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it would probably be more of an industrial size rather than a home unit. You know, we'd be looking at something that could facilitate what the needs are for the building. So we haven't put anything in stone yet. What we are doing is we're going out soliciting ideas from other contractors, from other professionals to bring those in, evaluate, and then make a decision. The weed equipment, it was drained. It was properly, put away for winter storage. The problem is the wind and the UV rays. There's plastic tubings, there's plastic connectors. Those are being degraded by those UV rays. It actually isn't because of misuse of the equipment or lack of cleaning it. It's the fact that the wind and the sun is hard on plastic. He needs to have that so that he can preserve those pieces of the equipment and not have to repair them every year.
Now, are they gonna be in the heated part of it too?
Probably not, because they're drained. The issue with those is
That's
the
what I was
UV rays. And it's also degrading the tires. as you well know.
I know
that
summer's
happens.
terrible on
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, and we have, what, 363 days average of sun here? You know, that plays a part in this.
Mhm.
The mosquito truck, it's an old truck. The mosquito district has been saving for many years to get a second truck, and they would have been able to address the mosquito issues a lot better this year if they'd had that second truck. They couldn't get the second truck because they had no place to store it. The road yard where they're storing it now is overcrowded, and the reason they couldn't get the first truck out to work on it is because other equipment had been put in behind it. So not until the season could they bring it out. Therefore, all the repairs got done during mosquito season. The second truck, which could have been purchased had they had a place to store it, would have been able to pinch hit. They could have hit 2 zones a night to take care of mosquitoes. They've already got the money from that just from being able to save
I
the
know,
years.
because we live out there and
Yeah,
good grief, those mosquitoes carried us away and they said they were gonna spray 5 times, we got it twice.
yeah.
And the first time, the wind was in the opposite direction, it just went out into a hayfield. Didn't do us a penny's worth of good.
And you could have had a lot more had we had the building to be able to have a truck, have maintenance during the off-season. Elaine complained a lot about
Yeah.
mosquitoes too, believe me, we
I
heard
live
it.
out that way.
I bet you did.
And I have one more question, and I'll
Yes.
dry up. Elaine lives on the same road that we do, on 284. Have you ever noticed when you come from the north where the red light is flashing, and you pull up the stop sign, that hill being the way it is, there's tree limbs sticking out, there's big signs right there, and a truck or a car, they come steaming down off of that hill, say 70 mile an hour, and you pull out, you look in your mirror, you can't even get a half a city block, and they're right on your back bumper, and I'm sure they're nattering a wet hen at you.
I've experienced the same thing.
So I mean, there's an area I wish that they could either move those signs back and trim those branches or something, so that you can see the trucks or cars. A logging truck can't stop on a dime. So I mean, that was just something that I had thought about, and I thought, you know, that's kind of a hazard there for people too. Not that somebody's gonna walk out and get killed, that's for sure, but
No,
it's,
you're right though. And addressing those hazards and doing something about it's important, so thank you for bringing that forward. Is there a power line there too?
Yeah.
Maybe Northwestern Energy could actually take care of that.
oh, what?
Northwestern Energy will actually trim trees around power lines like that. Maybe
I
they
don't know
could.
if there's
come in
any
and take
power
care of
lines
it.
there or not, I honestly couldn't tell you.
I think there is because for the flashing light, needs to have electricity.
Unless it comes from town out, I don't know.
We'll look into that. If not, Jeff DeMars would be the next one to talk to, don't you think? He's our representative, well, not really our representative, but he lives here and works for the highway patrol, or highway department.
Okay.
Yeah, so, Lois, did you have another question?
Just one thing about Bob's, if there was a lane that people coming off 284 could turn into and then turn into the other lane, that would probably be the best, but that would be very expensive. Another comment just about the county. Do you know, I have tried to call people like about the mosquitoes and ask why we weren't sprayed until so late, and then finally somebody from the county did take care of it. But I would not get return calls. I was told I would. I have had terrible, terrible response, not just from some of those, but from other departments. When I have asked that they would call me back, please, leaving my number, nothing. And I don't understand why that, because if they're county people, and that happened with the weed board as well as with the mosquito things, and I don't understand why people, if that's their job, don't respond to those questions that we have, and that's just, I don't know who would be responsible for seeing that those people respond to county concerns of the.
That's our job, so if that ever happens again, and I will tell you that the mosquito district will be working with them for next year to, you know, address a lot of the concerns from this past year. But if that happens with any department for the county, any board, contact one of us, and that is our job to make sure that those calls are returned.
Well, when I called about 4 different times about the mosquitoes and never got a response, and then the last time I saw in the paper, all districts have been sprayed 5 times. I called them back and said, please call me, because ours has only been sprayed twice, and that's after a county person got involved. And because that was not a true statement that was in the paper.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree.
So I don't understand how that can happen, because I'm
And
kind of one
somebody-
of these.
Somebody said to me, because you're a commissioner, I suppose you don't have any mosquitoes. Yes, I do.
Did that spray get reused, or the spray that was purchased for that? Who got that spray and what's been done with that spray? Has that spray been given to people to spray their own areas, or what's happened? Do you know?
No.
No. Only a certified sprayer can use the chemical. And that's the reason we can't leave it outside, because someone could easily take the truck
Gotcha,
and
okay.
spray their yard. No, we have a certified sprayer who does all that. We have a board that oversees them.
Okay.
So it all goes through the board, and that's because there's a mosquito district. You guys pay taxes, and so you
Yes.
qualify for the board. So, yeah, anytime you don't get a call back, let us know. We'll see to that.
I won't bug you, but.
No, please do, absolutely.
We can't correct what we don't know.
Right, yeah. And next year's mosquito season will be a whole lot different than this one. We'll be working with that board on a whole different plan, because
Thank
last year was a mess. Yeah, and I don't want it thought that the board didn't do their thing. And, the board ended up losing people, there were a lot of frustrations,
Sure.
It wasn't necessarily the board's fault. They got caught in the middle of a mess. And that's why we're gonna be working with them to address that, to fix that next year, to have a whole lot better, more constructive season. Yeah, you bet. Anything else from you guys? Mr. Bradstra?
In regards to the building, one of the things, and I don't think the law has changed, but you can't store the chemicals like we did on the farm. They've got to be in a secure location, under lock and key, under placarded, which makes it visible for anybody that wants to come in and steal it. Okay, but it's to protect the firefighters as they come in. And the same thing with some of the equipment, that it's got to be in a secure location based upon some of the environmental laws that they have. And it's maybe not a bad idea, but that's one of the reasons you have to have certain things in those buildings that we didn't have to have before on the farm, but sometimes now we do.
I know what you're saying, because I was a body shop manager for a dealership, and all of our paint and stuff had to be kept in fireproof cabinets.
Thank you for that, Bob. You are very eloquent in bringing that out, and I wasn't. So thank you. Trudy?
I just have a clarification. I would like for to know that 5-time spraying came specifically from the mosquito department.
I figured so. Thank you.
So that's
Judy.
where the 5 times come from, was because that's what they indicated here, the commissioners.
You've got a good memory.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, any other public comment today? Public comment? All right, anything else from the board? All right, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
I can't move yet. I'll wait, no problem.
Is it hard to get just something
Yeah.
even when you bring your own cushions?
I'm glad you did.
That's wise.
It's just really nice. That's what gets me.
And Melissa were telling me.
It's like I'm We used to go to church. 2 or 3 weeks.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Across the tracks.
Oh, okay.
Get right over.